everybody, this is Perch, and talking about respect. It was an interesting. I was kind of over the weekend doing a lot of kind of housework, some things that have been, overlooked, I would say, and also trying to do a lot more fitness. It's summer, it's warmer, the days are longer up here in Seattle. The winters are crappy. Like you live in this area where from like 9 a.m. to 3, that's your daylight, and then it's dark. And so the summer is the opposite. We're up north, so it's like 10:30 before it really gets dark at night. And so you have a much longer day, which generally I enjoy the night. So, that's not necessarily good news, but it has been good news for fitness. Trying to just get in more shape. People don't know I had a back injury a couple of years ago. I had to get a little bit of surgery, and it took me off my fitness game. I was pretty good in the gym, doing pretty heavy weight training and other things, and couldn't do that for almost a year. So now trying to get kind of toughened up again. I'm doing about 15, 20,000 steps a day, which is not bad, and then getting in some weights and other things. So that's all nice. But I missed this over the weekend. And then Robert Willing, who's been a guest on my show, I really like the guy. He's got a good opinion on things. I feel bad for him because I've had him on live streams before, and it is like we'll record things, we'll do things. It's like everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. We do the live stream. It's like his microphone blows up, and it's like I feel bad for him. So I'll have him on again. He's always fun to talk to. I also feel bad because I recorded like an hour. Really cool Heroes Reborn retrospective, and then StreamYard just ate it. Like literally like, sorry, I did two interviews, one retrospective and two interviews, and in all cases like they had to be redone because it's like StreamYard's like, they're gone now. And I'm like, no, wait, where are they? It's like, you're supposed to keep them up for 30 days. This is 48 hours later, and I'm trying to download these. Are gone. It's like, well, you should have re-downloaded them right away. I'm like, no, you should keep them up for 30 days like your site says. Anyway, little heated argument I got into there. But anyway, he's a good guy. But he reaches out with this question, which is a really good one. And it was this topic that I missed. And then I know that Zach did a video on this as well, the same topic, and I listened to that as well. And I think there's a good point. By the way, if you're one of the people who either likes Zach or dislikes Zach based on what he does, this is a video to listen to because I think he's making a solid point. And I wish almost the people who like him more should make sure they listen to it because he's saying something correct, and it's what we're getting into. But it's but Robert writes, "Hey Perch, you ever thought of doing a video on should creators respond to hostility on social media? Because it seems like that's all I'm seeing with this James Mangold thing." So the background is James, basically some fan group or some like super fan posts this kind of very negative Indiana Jones 5 commentary about Kathleen Kennedy being involved, and she is the Antichrist, as we all know. And the writer is the writer from Solo, and Harrison Ford is old, and it's just a bunch of stuff like that, just shitting on this movie. And James Mangold, the director, comes in and goes basically aggressively claps back and kind of go for a while, continue to kind of beat up on this guy, and then the original the fan caster immediately pivoted to a huge director is sicking his people on me, which is the game of Twitter. And I hate this game because it's like it's the victim behavior on all fronts. It's like, hey, you're trolling me, you're an evil troll. I'm the victim, and then I'm a big name, I'm clapping back to you, and now you're the victim, and I blocked you, now I'm the victim again. It's like, good God, people, like screw all of you. Anyway, Robert writes, he legitimately, meaning Mangold, wanted to call out those who are being hostile and making assumptions when they started shooting. Yes, he went a bit too far. And already your people are saying he's like Ryan Johnson, bashing the fans. And I saw him flat out ask, so you expect me to keep quiet while you people make assumptions? And a lot of people said, yes, you should keep quiet. And I did see some of that. Like when Mangold started, I don't know, I keep saying Mangold, when the director started clapping back, people are like, you shouldn't say anything. It's like, yeah, but some of these things that are being said, like the person who wrote the movie, was wrong information, like flat out wrong. Like, you expect me to just let that wrong information, I should say nothing to the wrong information? People are like, yes, you should not say anything. It's like, so we're living in fantasy land now where people shouldn't correct mistakes. Like that's where we're at. That we'd rather just that's terrible. Anyway, and then there's the whole thing with Kevin Smith. So Robert goes on to say with Kevin Smith. He's clearly trying to correct the assumptions, but the fact that he's making a statement, people are like, clearly we struck a nerve. That means our assumptions are right. The He-Man story, if people like, we'll have to see the cartoon to see what's there. But the main crux of the He-Man outrage, if you haven't been following it, is that people believe it's actually a stealth show for Tila, and they're going to kind of remove He-Man from the mix, and it's all going to be about Tila. And they're basing that assumption off of insider reports from someone, and the show synopsis. Now, the problem with basing anything off of any kind of synopsis is that, as we've seen from comics and the solicitations, the synopses are written by maniacs who seem to have no idea of what's going on with anything. So I think if you're basing that as your proof, you're building a castle on sand. Is my point. Now, who knows? Show comes out, it's all about Tila. Then okay, then one side has won. The show comes out and it's He-Man. And not about Tila, or it's mainly just He-Man, then the other side will have won. My fear is it's going to come out and kind of like the original He-Man cartoons. There will be some He-Man, there will be some Tila, and both sides will claim victory, and they'll just hate each other forever. But anyway, so Robert says, have you noticed that lately they push without respect, we reject, but they treat it as a one-way street, that it only applies to fans, that pro creators have to keep on respecting fans, but it doesn't go the other way. The fans can't respect, can't show respect the other direction. And so I listened to Zach's video, as I mentioned. It's a good one. He talks about this, and he takes, I think, he does a very Perch take, where he's like, well, one side. No, I'm joking, but there's a point here where it should be a two-way street. And what really caught me is I made the mistake. I was reading some of the comments, and there was one person saying, "No, that's wrong." Basically responding, "No, it's wrong. If a employee mouthed off to a customer, that employee would be terminated." And the problem is that's what I see that a lot. Like in my business, in my retail shop, I'd be fired if I talked to a customer that way. Well, no, you wouldn't probably. And there's plenty of video evidence to suggest this. If a customer walks in, and says something like, I'm looking for a red baseball cap. And the employee's like, you racist bigot, get out of here. I hate you, get out. And just start screaming at him, then yes, that employee would be terminated. Absolutely. Probably, would be terminated. However, that's rarely what's going on. In this case, using this analogy, the customer's coming in, and the customer walks in the door mouthing off. This store sucks. I hate everything here. Man, this place smells like garbage, and everybody here is fat and stupid. Give me my red hat. And the employee's like, screw you, pal, and then they get into a brawl. Here's the general rules here. And I say this, certainly from experience, talking to other people, is that if the customer comes in acting like an a-hole, the employee should absolutely try and keep it professional, but the employee is also 100% justified in kicking that customer out of the shop. Go check it out for yourself. There is this very strange mentality that's developed really around Twitter, in particular, the bane of all things that are evil, but really around Twitter, which says the customer can come in and say whatever they want and do whatever they want. And the employee, the creator, the pro, has to take it. And that's not, one, that's not fair. And two, that's not true. That's not how the real world works. You can't just wander in and be a crazy, ugly, nasty person and expect to get away with it because you're the down in the punching down scenario. You're the fan. You're going to be shown the exit. Now, I always believe, and I've said before, and I hope people hear this part. This is a part that, for whatever reason, people always like to forget that they heard. The employee is smart not to engage. The creator, the pro, the director, the employee, whoever it is, that they're smart to not engage. They are smart to leave it alone, to not get involved in any of this. And maybe when some employee comes in screaming at them, yeah, that's where mute and block are probably a good plan. It doesn't benefit you as an employee, as a creator, as a pro. It doesn't benefit you to get into a fight. It's number one, going to take time away from whatever project you're working on. So you're literally taking money out of your pocket at that point. You don't look great because you're just looking sarcastic and like an ass. And you're ceding the high ground. Unless you're a maniac, nobody is going to look at a situation where a customer, fan, whoever it might be, and the fact whether they have money or do not have money is a little bit irrelevant. Again, if you go into a retail shop and you start acting like a lunatic, you're going to be shown the door. Doesn't matter if you're a customer or not. And bluntly, you should be shown the door. Nobody in their right mind would go, yeah, you could walk into Target and start making demands and insulting the customers and shouting and making a fool out of yourself. I mean, since the beginning of time, there's been the signs of, no shirt, no shoes, no service. The idea is if you come in and you're breaking the rules, if you come in and you are, doing something that is not allowed by the store, they have the right to say leave. Now, maybe it just so happens you have $5 million in your pocket and you're about to spend it all in that store and they are walking away from an amazing sale. Could be, but the rules are also the rules. That's what they're trying to do. And here's the funny part. As somebody who's worked in retail, who's been a comic shop owner, who's dealt with lots and lots of customers, very rarely did I have to show anybody the door. I've said this, very rarely. I had one obnoxious person who would take comics, he was taking comics out of people's hands. Like, you don't want this, and he'd take it out of the hands. I'm like, hey, don't do that again or I'm going to kick you out. This was somebody with a pull box. And bluntly, I'm okay kicking that guy out and losing that business because this guy was costing me other business. But generally speaking, it doesn't happen. That's because in real life, unlike Twitter, most people are not crazy assholes. They don't act like this in real life. They don't come in and just start screaming and hollering and being jerks. And this, by the way, is where I take the customer side or the fan side of the argument on social media, because certainly creators like to portray a group of fans as being nasty, homophobic, awful, bigoted, terrible people. But in the real world, i.e. real life, that is definitely not, that's as much of a fictional statement as saying comic book stores have been, dirty, ugly basements filled with like gross people. That's not what happens. That's not what comic shops are like. That's not what any of this is like. But yet that's been the portrayal. And so I do sympathize there, because I do think that the creators and the directors, whoever else, at times will independently, without being prompted, look down on the customer base. And there's no excuse for that. Absolutely no excuse for that. But fair being fair, the customers do not get a free pass to act like an asshole. And there are definitely some people who go into business with that in mind, who like to, it's like, and people have asked, and I don't know, I've mentioned this a couple of times, Mumbles likes to roast me in the comments. Okay. It is a game. He's a nice guy. He's supported the channel for a long time, and I don't mind. It's fun. I enjoy his little roasts. They're fun. And there's no problem with that. But imagine if it wasn't Mumbles, but just some a-hole who like to come in, and my least favorite, and some people have, they come in and they like to put words in my mouth. Well, what Perch is saying here is that racism is okay, and then I'm going to put it with the caps and then the lowercase every other letter to make it sound extra crazy. It's like, if you do that, yeah, I'm going to boot you. Yes, I will. You're acting like an asshole. Okay, but generally speaking, in the real world, none of this stuff happens. This is an online problem, and it should go both ways. You don't have to, and again, don't exaggerate it. You don't have to come in and humble yourself and get down on the ground and go, oh my goodness, you creators are the best in the world. And you do not have to invent that you like something if you don't at all. But if you're going to be a snarky a-hole, and when I looked at kind of the original tweets, I mean, the original thing that sparked all this off was the guys were acting like jerks. They were doing snarky, nonsensical talk, and they were putting out flat out wrong information. And so even though I don't think James Mangold should have, jumped into the ring and started punching, I do think, don't start none if you don't want to get some, so to speak. Don't. Why are you doing that? You can't act like a tough guy on the internet and then immediately transform yourself into a victim when somebody pops you, whether that person is a customer or a creator. Either way, I, I that's the silliest aspect of this entire thing. It's this very performative. I'm going to be an asshole, and the second I catch any kind of heat the other direction, I'm suddenly a victim. It's if you want to be respected, show respect. That's it. Or maybe put it a better way, be respectful. Yeah, respect and respectful are two different things. Or be polite, or just don't act like a complete asshole and then be shocked when somebody pops you in the mouth. And we have to get over this. Well, in my shop, if the employee ever acted like this, they'd be fired. Not if the customer came in acting like a jerk. If the customers act like a jerk and the employee gives it back, most businesses will go, yeah, well, that customer was an ass. Or they'll just kick the customer out of the store. Truthfully, go ask. In fact, to actually go completely into it, there's a section in the Target rule book for employees. I have a cousin who went to work for Target. They're like, hey, check this out. And in the rule book, there's a section that says if a customer mouths off to you, it's like, take none of it. The second they start to mouth off to you, go to the get a manager. If you are a manager, feel completely justified in kicking them out. And in fact, in the whole thing, it's like, don't engage, don't use physical violence. But it's like, you don't have to be completely polite about it. You can just get them out of the store. Like, that is true. Now again, if you're a creator, if you're a pro, it's in your best interest not to engage. And every time you do, all you have done is you've lowered yourself to the same level. And since you're the one selling a product, that's dumb. It's a dumb thing to do. But just because that is true, that doesn't mean it's open season for customers to say whatever they want without expecting any consequences whatsoever. That's fair. That's respect. That's being just basic respectful to each other. And I do fundamentally disagree. And I know there's people, and I know that some of them will tell me why in the comments here. I know that there's people who want it one direction only. They want it to be, I get to insult you, you don't get to say anything back to me. And again, whether you're a customer or whether you're a creator, respect is just respect. It does not matter. It does not matter if you're one or the other. There may be bigger consequences if you're the creator, certainly. If you make a big enough ass out of yourself that, your employer decides you're not worth it, that could be bad for you. But it just this is one of those cases of it doesn't have to be this hard. Thanks for listening.